working within sales, focusing on larger merchants in Sweden.
It's my third startup grind, and I love it because there's a lot of people from different branches, and it's a really good mix-up of people.
I'm working at a company called Open Ratio, which is a mobile CMS that you can build and publish mobile apps and mobile web without needing to code.
Welcome, Niklas Adalberth. Maybe this is where your entrepreneurial journey started.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was. I remember this situation quite well. I was standing outside the local Konsum, the local grocery store in Uppsala, and I was in 7th grade, and a friend of mine, or actually a friend of my brother, came out with a big cage of beer. And we were all impressed, all our friends, that how was that possible? I mean, you're only 15. How did you do that? And he showed us a fake ID that he made himself. So basically just took a piece of paper, added a photo on it, and faked his social ID, social number, and just signed it. And it worked. And it was quite impressive that it did work. And I looked at that, and I can do that so much better. So me and a friend went home to his place and started to experiment, and it came out quite well actually. So we did a copy of our IDs and made ourselves become 18. And as an 18-year-old in Sweden, you can do basically whatever you want, right? And we were all proud, so we were showing it off to friends and so on, and they were also quite impressed. We tried it, we bought some beers and so on, cigarettes. I don't know what you did back then, and they also wanted these IDs. So we started to sell them or give them away. We hanged out in the internet. It was IRC when it just started, these chat forums, and we tried to sell them over there. It went quite well. And we had a business running.
No. Wow.
Yeah, and we had no idea what we were actually doing, right? So we went into this rikskuponger, we say in Swedish, it's like food coupons where you can buy food from, and I was experimenting a lot. And I probably earned more money than any of my peers back then, I guess. It was in 7th grade once again. And what you do with the money? Well, you buy tons of candies. I probably ate most candy, and I still do actually.
We have something in common there. That was my dream when I was a kid, buying candy whenever you could.
Exactly.
Whenever you wanted, as much as you wanted.
Yeah, and play flipper games and so on. Yeah, it was really, really, really nice. But unfortunately, I mean, this business idea didn't last forever, right? So one day, one of these customers got caught, and a couple of days later, it knocked on the door. It was an early morning, a summer, and there was the police. And then went through the house, and it got me into the police station and everything. Got interrogated for 24 hours, and everyone got caught basically. So I hit the headlines with I think it was 32 people that eventually got prosecuted and caught.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. So my father was not very, very proud at that moment.
And all you ever tried to do was to make your father proud, right?
Right. Or impress my brother, I guess, and his friends. I don't know what I was trying to do. But it was a great experience, right? First of all, I learned that it's never, ever worth being on the wrong side of the law. I mean, later on when I came up what I was doing, I got scared when the phone rang. I got scared when my mother got home if she had found out or something, and I had nightmares. That was one thing I learned, and another thing was that it's actually nice to be an entrepreneur or do something different. Because I got a lot of attention, and since I'm quite insecure in myself, I like that attention.
Interesting. And during this time, you met Sebastian, but he was not involved in that entrepreneurial journey.
Right. So we started in high school together, or in 7th grade. So he was actually one of those that didn't bought one of these IDs. He was too clever for that, I guess. Yes, I met my co-founder already in school.
And you really found your way to his heart, and he found his way to your heart when you guys were standing flipping burgers at Burger King.
Right. That was
Sure,
like the first big career, I guess.
What happened?
No, I don't know. It was this prao, as you have in Sweden, where
Mm.
you practice doing work for 2 weeks, and we did that together, and that's when we truly enjoyed working together and being together.
Hmm.
And since then, I guess we've been inseparable. Back to Sweden, Sebastian didn't find a job because it was 2003. It was a recession period. It was very tough. So finally he found a job as a telesalesperson at a finance company. So quite boring job, lifting up the phone, trying to sell different financial services to different small companies. And it was very tough sale. But one group of customers he got in contact with was e-commerce sites. And they said that we don't want the service you're trying to sell us. But if you guys could help us sell on invoice, the way customers prefer to pay, but you guys take the risk, then we want to buy from you. That's what we want. So Sebastian presented this to the management team, but they were not that interested. This year passed by, he did his re-exam, got into the master program, and that was when he was telling me and Victor about this business idea.
All right.
And we said that, sounds cool. So going back to that cargo ship, if we wouldn't have missed that cargo ship, Sebastian would be back to school in time, and he would never have discovered this while working as a telesalesperson, and hence no Klarna. So a lot of things is coincidences, I think.
Definitely. Oh, so before we go into the full Klarna story, I guess most of you in here know what Klarna do, but please go ahead and tell us, what is Klarna, if you give us the pitch.
The pitch, so no one's fall asleep here. I could talk all the day about what Klarna does, but in short, if you go online and shopping and you use Klarna, you just enter the top of mind details, like name, address, date of birth, press buy, that's it. And then later on you get the stuff home together with a bill that you could settle 14 days later. So you're always sure what you have in the package when you open it, try it on or whatever, before you actually transfer the money. So it creates safety for customers buying online. And the merchants, the ones sells online, they get paid no matter what happens. So we stand somewhere in the middle and make sure that the transaction proceeds as secure as possible.
You take all the risk.
We take all the risk. We love risk.
Oh, great. Risk is fun. That's why you're an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
And what's your role in this game today as a deputy CEO? What do you do?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's like this 200 tasks every day, small things, everything from complaining about the light bulbs to doing some analytics, doing some management work. It's very much high and lows, I guess. Now I'm mainly focused on engineering, even though I don't know anything about it. I'm trying to help out. But it's different things, no matter what, depending on what is burning the most at the moment, I guess.
All right. And that leads us to the story about how you became an entrepreneur. And you were telling us previously about this story that you missed the cargo ship. How did you become an entrepreneur? What is the chances serendipity? What happened when you missed the ship, and what happened to Sebastian after that? Is that a big part of every entrepreneur's story, you think, or what?
To me, I think everyone could be an entrepreneur. I don't think they need to have necessarily characteristics or anything.
No.
I think it's total coincidences. If we wouldn't have missed that ship, I would probably end up doing economics study and work at a bank or something.
Oh.
I think so. So I think it's... but what you could do, though, is to expose yourself to different situations, I guess. Such as taking a job even though you might not want to job or something, work or something, just to discover how it works and see things, how they could be improved.
Expose yourself to different opportunities.
Right. And then maybe if you're lucky as we were, you will find an opportunity.
What do you think your life would be like today if you were an investment banker or a management consultant?
I have no clue. I know I would be bored, I guess. Spending time in Excel and working 100 hours a week. I have no clue. I haven't thought about it.
Okay, let's go back to the Klarna story, or before your name was Klarna. came to a point when you and Victor got involved, and that was when Sebastian was back at Stockholm School of Economics, right?
Right.
So what happened? Did he just give you a call a day, or had you been discussing this during the year when he was trying to sell this to the management team of the company he was working as a telemarketer at?
Right. So I guess that because this was the year 2004, and I started at Stockholm School of Economics as well. And Victor had been there already for 1 year, and Sebastian for 2 years. And Sebastian started to talk about this idea, but I wasn't that interested because I was new in the school and so on. And I was a proud guy, so I guess I wanted Sebastian to ask me directly, "Do you want to do this with me?" So I didn't ask him. And he felt that this was like that I was totally uninterested. So he asked Victor as well, and other kids and so on, and peers. And finally, Victor was very, very interested. And one day I had to go to Sebastian as well. That okay, guys, I know that now you guys actually trying to do something with this. Can I join? And he said yes. So that was great. So what we did was that we tried to create some kind of business plan and try to discuss what do we do next. And Stockholm School of Economics had this business lab, like an incubator, where they accepted business ideas and tried to help companies succeeding with them. And so we presented to them that hey, we had this idea, what should we do? And we were not sure at all if we're going to pursue this or not. But they were actually so persuasive and so convinced that this is going to work. So we felt stupid if we would have said no to them and not join the business lab. So we did, and we said to each other, like, let's give this 2 months, see what's happened. And so we did. But the problem was that we were supposed to start a finance company, but we had no experience whatsoever, except for IDs and Burger King, I guess. We had no money at all. We were all living on CSN and had no rich parents or anything. And also we were supposed to start this tech finance company. We knew nothing about tech. I know some graphic design, but nothing, no programming or anything. So it was kind of big like hurdle to start this. So what we started off with was that we need money. We had no clue how much, but let's see if people are interested. So we went around pitching this to different business angels. And at one network event that Stockholm School of Economics organized, there was a lady there called Jane Walerud. And we did our pitch, and after that pitch, she walked up to me and said that this sounds great, and I have the perfect engineers to build this initial platform. And we got very excited, of course. And 3 weeks later, we had 600,000 in the bank account for 10% of the shares, and then we gave away 37% to the engineers, 5 engineers. To build the initial platform. So it was a quite tough decision. I mean, should we do this and we start off before actually starting the company, we give away basically half the company, or should we try to do this much more lean and, I don't know, learn programming ourselves? But since it was such a big hurdle, we thought that, I mean, come on, we need to share and to try to build and accomplish this.
And these programmers, they got 5% each?
I don't know how they divided it. To be honest.
Oh, okay.
But they got some percentage.
All right. What did they have to do to get those? Was that just like build the foundation of the system, or and then they could do whatever they wanted, or was it an obligation, like they had to stay for a year or 2 or 3 in the company?
No, we defined it in the contract as they would build this platform, and after 9 months they defined it as now we're done.
Okay.
So.
Did you do the requirements, or who helped you out here?
Sorry?
Did you do the technical requirements for this platform, or?
I think we all 3 of us did it.
Okay.
It's going to do this and this and that, but it's impossible to define, right?
Yeah.
So I guess.
Because none of you were engineer.
Right.
Was an engineer, right?
Right. So we just on a very, very high level said that you should be able to handle invoices in this way, and if someone pays, it should be not handle it in this way, and so on. So it was really, I actually saved all those architecture requirements. They look absolutely horrible. if I look back to them.
And this is the finance industry.
Yeah,
Oh.
that we knew nothing about either. So yeah, no, that was difficult. So poor engineers, they had to try to find out what we wanted. But they did a good job, and it's always two sides of the story, right?
Yeah.
And we are where we are today, so we're still very happy about that decision.
Just to go along and actually do it.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Start going.
Absolutely.
All right. So, and then in the business lab, I mean, or Stockholm School of Economics, they're partly financed by businesses from the industry, right?
Right.
So they have a partner summit.
Yep.
And at that very specific partner summit that year, was that the same year that you started? Is the spring or the fall? You got the funding during the fall, or when did you get?
Right. So they had this partner summit late 2004. So we were in business lab, but we haven't got the funding yet. It was very, very early stage. And this particular year, they arranged this Dragon's Den show, Draknästet. And the idea was to have a couple of business lab companies present. And then you had a judge or judges. It was Marcus Wallenberg, Peggy Bruzelius, Stefan Persson. So it was a very prominent group of people. And then you had the audience of the rest of the Swedish industry. And they were all able to vote afterwards. So Sebastian did the pitch and so on, and the other ones did that as well. And then the judges totally nailed us and were saying that, guys, don't do this. The banks will do this. It's no way that you're going to succeed. You seem like a great guy, Sebastian, but try to pursue some other idea instead. And I mean, being so early into the building a company, that is quite tough to hear by so experienced people. So that was very, very tough afterwards. But it was actually one guy in the audience that after this event took us and said that don't listen to these old people. They have no clue what they're talking about. You will run over the bank. You will be much quicker. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So that particular man in the audience was the guy that made you pursue your dream or keep on going towards.
At least helped it a lot. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, getting all that negative feedback, I don't know if we would have pursued it, right?
No, from those businessmen. I mean, they have a lot of credibility.
Right, right.
And you don't even know who this guy was, right? Do you remember?
So if there was anyone here in the audience, I would like to thank you personally.
Well, and the name Kreditor, how come you picked that name? And for how long did you sit down and pick your brains before you decided on that name?
Right. So that was the same reason that we needed a name that sounded very heavy and very old, very business. So we thought that Investor is a big investment company in Sweden, and we came up with Kreditor. That sounded very, very boring. So we picked that. We thought that was good for this phase of the company, or for the future, we thought. But then, of course, we realized later on that this is not a good name. It sounds a little bit negative and boring. Now we're grown up. We need another name. So I think we realized already in like 2000, I guess a couple of years after we started, that we need a new name. And I remember we had different competitions going on in the company of suggestions for a new name with a price to it. We did it with the board, with the management team. The founders went away to try to find a name. We used companies to try to find a new name, but we didn't like any new name. But then there was one name out of the top 10 list that no one really hated. That was like at the bottom, and that was Klarna. And then one day we just said that we just need to decide on something. Let's take this one, and no one put in their veto, and that was Klarna.
That was the three of you, the founders. You were sitting down.
Eventually.
Okay.
Eventually.
Today, though, Klarna has grown to a tremendous company in just a couple of years. Before we go and have some coffee, tell us a little about the journey and what's ahead for Klarna, what's ahead for you. What are your plans?
Well, Klarna today, we are about 800 full-time employees. We're in 7 markets, and all these co-workers are spread out. I think we're 550 here in Stockholm, We did 1.2 billion SEK in turnover last year. But the ambition level of the company is to go global, basically. So we still feel like a startup. And I think that if you ask anyone that works at Klarna, they feel they're part of a startup. Because compared to what our ambition level is, we are very, very small still. We don't see a reason why I shouldn't could be able to buy this mat from this Indian lady selling it online, and Klarna should be the one that take the risk. So I dare to buy, even though it's cross-border shopping for someone I don't know.
So that's kind of your vision,
right? So to erase borders across the world and enable trade. That's Klarna's vision.
Do you have a role model in this game? Like who do you look up to, and who is your?
I guess that's changed over the years. I don't know. I mean, in the aspect of doing something fantastic is one of our investors, Niklas Adalberth. I mean, he's changed the world of telephony for the entire world and did something really, really fantastic. So that's probably one idol, of course.
Cool. The business model of Klarna, what is it?
The business model.
How do you earn money?
So it's the main revenue stream is a transaction fee against the merchants. So for every transaction, we take a certain percentage, and that's the main revenue. Apart from that, we have other revenue streams from customer finance. We have revenue. We have monthly fees on the merchants as well. So it's a bunch of different revenue streams, but in general, it's transactional based. So the more transaction we get, the more we earn.
So you try to scale the volume as much as possible.
Exactly. So we're in a volume business.
Right. You were pretty young when you started this company, the three of you. What have been the leadership challenges? Have you had to hire a lot of more senior people to help you out and manage all these different personalities, or what's that journey been like, and how is it structured today? What has changed?
Right, so that's been a very good learning, and we have done so many mistakes in leadership. So it's a lot of trial and error, I guess. I think the number one key learning is recruitment. To not hire where you are today, but rather hire where you're going to be tomorrow. So most of the people that come in here to Klarna are actually taking a position that is lower compared to where they come from, just because we know that we hope that we're going to continue to grow. And hence that position will be very, very exciting and very challenging. And also, I mean, we're lacking, still very, very entrepreneurial in the company. We don't have all that structure that maybe old banks have. So it's a lot of things to do. So even though you come in a lower position, it's still like tons of exciting stuff to be done.
And now we'll move into the moments of despair. Because I mean, as an entrepreneur, you'll always run into moments where you don't know how to keep going, and how to take the next step. And it would be really interesting just to hear a few stories from you and how you cope with the hardships in life and in your entrepreneurship. So we start by asking the question, tell us about the worst day that you had.
So professionally, I guess, I mean, we've had a lot of hard days. It's been very much up and down. I mean, looking from the outside, it probably looked like a smooth road, but it's really not. One day I remember was when we were able to sign CDON, which was our by far biggest customer at that time. We just signed them, and since we're a finance company, we pay out money before we receive it. So we need a lot of loans from the bank. So we signed them, we were very, very excited, but then the same day, this was 2008, and the financial crisis hit. So Oliver Wyman, or whatever they were, not Oliver Wyman, what were they called?
The what?
Lehman Brothers.
The Lehman Brothers, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so they went bankrupt, and all the other banks got very scared, and we were at this time with Östgöta Enskilda. So they called us and said that, sorry guys, we are taking away the credit line. So we signed this huge deal. We were hugely depending on getting liquidity from this bank, and they just canceled it basically. So we were in very deep trouble. So we needed to find this finance in a very short term. And after a lot of struggle, we were able to get that finance from Nordea instead. So they helped us out in the last second. So that was very close and very a bad day, so to say, when they did cancel this. Another moment, bad days we have here is that if back in the days we had some trouble with system uptime. And what happens when our system goes down is that all the e-commerce stops that have our payment options. So all the people in Klarna get a lot of phone calls from angry customers or angry e-stores. What the hell is happening? Come on, I want to buy this shirt, or why can't I sell this shirt? I'm losing money here. And you're standing there as a business guy studying economics, didn't learn anything, and you want to solve it right yourself. And the only thing you can do is to walk into the engineers and stand basically behind their shoulders, just look at that strange screen, and you really want to come on, let it up, but you can't do anything, and you realize you're just disturbing in the end anyway. But when we had some problem, I think it was 2 Christmases ago, where it was down for quite some hours, and that was very tough to get all those phone calls.
And how did you cope with this? I mean, you walked up to the programmers, you tried to be there for them. What else did you do?
That's the only thing I could do, basically, and try to find some communication to the external market and internally. That we have some system maintenance, it will be up and running soon, and so on. And just to stress the engineers, which once again probably only hurted more than it gave.
Are these 2 hardships that you just gave us an example of? Are they like even personally? Are they? Are you that close attached to your company that they were like 2 really bad days for you? Are there any other parts, when there's been a conflict between your personal life or your private life and the company life, and that's been a hardship?
Right, yeah, so those hardships are tough, but they can't compare to getting your heart broken or hearing that your mother have cancer or something like that. That probably everyone can share in this room, that is really, really on a total another level of hardship. And I think that when it comes to business and combining those, I think that when me and Sebastian have our regular fights, that's of course quite tough when they get dirty. I mean, it have been times when we haven't spoken in days and smashed doors and almost hit each other, right? And that is tough since we're so close friends as well.
Yeah, what's that like? Starting a company with a friend that is that close to you. Some people decide to not kind of share stage when it comes to friendship and doing business. But you decided to do it. What's it like, and how do you have to cope with your relationship to make it work?
Right, so I think that after the first 100 fights, we agreed to first of all, most of the fights were around that I thought I worked much harder than Sebastian. He thought he worked much harder than me, and the same with Victor and so on. Every time I looked at Sebastian's screen, it was Star Trek and it was not work. When he looked at my screen, it was playing some games or something. So away and also it felt always that Sebastian was away much more to his classes and something. But this is, I think it's called self-serving bias, this phenomena. You always feel that you're doing more than the other one. It's the same when you're home with the dishes. You always feel that you're doing more dishes than your fiancé or something. And you have to acknowledge that. So what we did was actually to turn the screens so that we could always see them. So we're faced out. So I could always see Sebastian's screen if he was watching Star Trek or not. And that actually created some discipline, because he didn't want to show that to us, right? So we started to work probably twice as much by that simple thing. And I mean, we had all the incentives in the world to work like crazy and be disciplined, but still we procrastinated and did other things because it's tough. So what we actually have now in the company is that everyone have to have their computer screen turned outside. And that has solved a lot of disciplinary things, I think. So that was one thing we did. Another thing we did was that we actually started to count hours when we were in the office. just to get rid of that stupid fights that, oh, why are you going to class again? You went to class last week as well, and so on. But yeah, but I worked during the weekend. Yeah, but you went to this and this and so on.
So you start looking at the data, like gathering data points.
Data, exactly.
Okay, so we disagree on this, but
look at data. Look here, I can actually go away this weekend because you did it here. Where it adds up to this amount of hours, and it actually, I think it removed like 90% of the fights. But we still have fights, and what we agreed on that was that even though we're so angry, we want to kill each other, we should not leave the room. We should always work it out. And that worked very, very well.
Good. Is he still one of your absolutely closest, or your most close
Absolutely.
friends? Yeah.
He is. I hope he says the same. Maybe he's pissed at me, but...
And talking about the challenges as a successful entrepreneur, because today, you are a successful entrepreneur. Are you the same person today as before Klarna?
I think you have to ask someone else that question probably. I feel the same. I really do. I still feel like super nervous when I hear this applause. It feels like so unreal, right? Being here up on stage and so on. And what we have tended to do is that we've been really, really bad in celebrating successes. We always raise the bar before we actually reach the former goal we set. So am I happy where we are right now? No. I'm more looking into, look what Skype did or Google. They are really cool. That's true entrepreneurship. Then we just go back home and try to get there. So I think I'm the same person.
I'm glad to hear. As a person and as a human being, you only have a limited amount of time and energy, right? And that's pretty much what you own, except for your own body. So how is your work-life balance? What's the downsides of being a successful entrepreneur?
I think that, in the beginning we worked like crazy once again. I remember we had, I think it was 5 days in total, weekends included, the first 2 years that we were off and that we were not in the office. So we spent a lot of time back then. And I think that was correct to do that because it was only us there. So if we worked twice as much, we could double the workforce, right? Now we've been having recruitment as focus, and we have much better people than ourselves in the company doing all the hard work. So now I think that work-life balance is very balanced, at least from a physical work perspective. I still feel the pressure that what happens if the system goes down and this and that, and sometimes have nightmares and so on. But I work maybe 55 hours a week, something like that. I'm always off on weekends. I read emails, of course, every now and then, but that I think is fun. And also we've been trying to push a lot for. We don't really like that work. We think it is like combined. If you really, really like work and life goes together. So you need to try to focus to have fun at work.
You told me yesterday the fact that you can't stay in touch as many people as you used to do. That's one of the downsides.
That's one of the major downsides, yes, because you have you meet a lot of people, so on, and I see so many things that could be improved in Klarna. So you always want to engage in all the different kind of stuff, but the time is limited, so you really can't. And to keep up with family and friends from here and there and colleagues and so on, it's really comes down to that you simply don't have the time to do that. And that's one of the downsides.
Sorry. How do you manage the private life? How many close friends do you have, and what about family? Are you in contact with them continuously?
Yes, more or less. I visit them every third week, I guess. Friends, I probably have 7, 8, 10 friends that I'm really, really close.
And they support you in whatever you do, and you know that they're always
there
for you.
They do.
I'm glad to hear once again. Niklas, if you get a chance to restart your life, what would you have done differently?
I think that, professionally, I think that one of us three should have learned programming. it's so frustrating not knowing what's going on upstairs and just give 100% trust. It would be really fun to know that craftsmanship and be able to help out. From a personal perspective, I don't tend to look back. I think that, what have already happened. There's nothing whatsoever I can do about it. It's just try to look forward or try to be here and now. Because you don't know what's going to happen in the future either, I guess.
And that's part of what we talked about previously, the catching opportunities, whatever opportunity that falls in your way. Right. Thank you so much. Please come again.
The project that I'm working on right now, we are working on a service for matching high school students.
They become very relatable, and you recognize that you have things in common with them. It's very encouraging.